Fellas, how does that sound?
Whoa!
Am I back?
Much better.
Jonathan, you
Loud
sound
and
That much
clear.
better?
You sound great.
Okay.
Welcome.
Wait a sec.
Okay.
And I actually have welcomed all of our friends on YouTube into the party. We got a whole party going on this Thursday afternoon. It's Peter here. I've got Mike with me. We've got Brian, and we've got Dr. Jonathan Katz. We've got a whole team.
Good afternoon.
Oh.
Wait a sec. Afternoon.
Fantastic. So yeah, Brian, anyways, there's a couple of reporting companies that are reporting that'll be interested. I said X isn't always a great trader, but there's like this is one of those companies that 4 days a year I'll look at it, and that's usually after earnings. And I really want to see what their numbers are going to be, because I've got to believe that their forward-looking forecast, they're just going to pull it all together. But I'll be curious to see how their last quarter ended, because I would think they're pretty hard hit, but I could be wrong. We'll see. I'm surprised about how many other companies actually had good quarters.
Yeah, I think that could be because the quarter kind of ended near the tail end of everything. I mean, January, February was strong. So you really had 2 solid months and 1 so-so month.
Well, yeah, because I mean,
I think it's
especially if they were reporting, sort of to the end of March or whatever their reporting schedule. It might not even. If I look at a calendar, if I recall, let me just think here. I was looking at a calendar. Yeah, so their month probably ended on the 27th of March, right, from a reporting period, which because that would have given them 4 full weeks in March, and that means if you think about it from a sales perspective, what would have happened is they probably had a full sales, because people were still paying their bills generally at that point, and what the sales would be recorded for stuff that was already purchased. What's really and it wouldn't reflect the future purchases, whereas they might have seen a little bit of benefit from reduced costs, because that might have happened right away if they started cutting costs middle of March. So anyways, we'll see what the next quarter. I mean, I think, like I said, I've actually been surprised, but the more I've thought about it, the more I was probably wrong in thinking this was going to be a bad quarter. But the next one, I mean, I don't think there's any way to get around it, right? It's got to be pretty ugly. I mean, unless we have an immediate turnaround sometime in May and everything skyrockets. I don't know how it won't be.
I think it's going to be very interesting in the next 3 months, because if you look at it, some states are opening up and some are not opening up, right?
Yeah, some are extending things, like Nevada and Arizona, aren't they extending their lockdowns?
Yeah, so it's kind of a tale of 2 sides, right? One believes, hey, let's open up and try to get stuff going again. The others, we still need to be cautious. So I think in about 3 weeks, right, you take that 14-day period, you're going to see if opening up was a good or a bad decision. And then I think everything's going to go off of that. I think
3 weeks is probably 3 to 4 weeks. Yeah, you'll have some indication as to how bad the infection rate starts to move up, if it does. SDC has been strong all day, hasn't it?
SDC.
Smile Direct Club.
Yeah, I don't have on my list for today. I think was it yesterday they had earnings?
Well, they were up a little bit. I think they were up a little bit yesterday. No, they gapped up on, I think it was Tuesday.
Maybe it was
Wednesday.
Tuesday,
They kind of had a flat kind of trading day, and I think today we're really getting a short squeeze, because there is about a 50%, according to Trade Ideas right now. There's or at least last time reported, there was about a 50% short interest in this stock. So that's quite a lot of shares, actually. So lots of red on the screen today.
Indeed.
What's standing out here? Amazon is standing out, Netflix standing out, Roku up a little bit. Obviously Microsoft, Facebook, and Apple. Like I said, Apple will be very interesting. Lots of mixed reviews on how Apple's earnings are going to be taken by the market. There's a good roulette trade for you.
Which one? Sorry.
Apple.
Apple. Oh yeah. Yeah. No. I had way too much excitement yesterday trading AMD into the close. I'm not sure I can handle that again.
No.
Not going with that.
That was too much for
So,
me. It was only 50 shares too. You know, it's not like I was betting the farm, but jeez.
It's not being able to control something that really gets at you.
I think so.
So, Dr. Katz, I have a question for you.
Shoot.
What for traders, as we experience life throughout a year, we all go through some major life events, right? You could be having a baby, you can be getting married, you could be going on a vacation once this social distancing kind of lets up. How do these major life events kind of affect a person when they are in front of the screen?
Well, I think part of this is kind of having a kind of an acceptance that, you know, changes in people's lives, sometimes stressful, sometimes positive, sometimes negative, you know, will have an impact. So I think the key on having these events not impact your trading in a deleterious kind of way is really to prepare for it. So if you're somebody, let's just say, let's take something on the positive end of things, in this kind of downward cycle that we've been in. If you're planning a vacation and you know that in the weeks leading up to your vacation, you tend to get very distracted because you're really getting fired up about the trip, and you just need to be very cognizant of that fact leading into your trading so that you're not overly distracted and kind of leave your process and your focus someplace else. Some people don't have any issues with that. Sometimes it's more on the downward aspect. So somebody could be having a first child, although that could be exciting for a lot of men, that could be, you know, very anxiety provoking. So I think just to be aware of the potential impact, and as part of your kind of pre-market day mental reminders, just to kind of, it may take a little extra focus and concentration when there's something on the horizon that is either causing a distraction from an excitement level or from kind of an anxiety level.
Yeah. And even some of the most exciting things can kind of leave you with a sense of uncertainty, right? I mean, I've been experiencing it really the last couple days, with today being my last official day in the military.
Yeah.
It's a major life event. When I wake up tomorrow, something that I've done for 23 years is no longer going to be there. It's something completely different.
Right.
And it also has a aspect of changing all the aspects in my life as well. So I have noticed that change. So what do you think about?
Yeah, let me just say, one thing, just sorry to follow up on that, because I think it's important, because I've noticed this myself. You know, a lot of people think that the distractions happen really more all the time of negative things. So just for me, for myself, I've been aware, actually, when things are not going well, I actually sleep very well. But when I'm excited about something, I find that I fall asleep, but I have this middle of the night awakening where I have a hard time going back to sleep. So it's a little kind of ironic that when good things are happening, my sleep tends to be less good. So my only bring that up is because everybody's different in terms of how they kind of react to stress and different kinds of life events.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
It's funny, Dr. Katz, you saying that. I was going to sort of interject with the same thing, that I find that the good events are ultimately more stressful than the bad events. My perspective was going to be, because you usually anticipate good things and you think about them, and like, think about having a child, getting married, changing jobs, whatever, right? Like you spend a lot of time thinking about them before the event, which can cause a lot of just a lot of churn in your life that can affect other things. Whereas bad things are usually not as anticipated. They tend to happen, and then you have to deal with it. So,
and then you have what we're experiencing now, which is new for all of us, and that there's this kind of low level, just to use your term, of bad events. It's this ongoing uncertainty of what's happening in the world that to some degree we've all gotten used to, but I think probably we have kind of underestimated the kind of cumulative impact that this is having on us from a day-to-day, week-to-week perspective.
Actually, that brings me something.
Yeah.
I was doing this as part of my my volunteer work, but I'll bring it up on the screen if you guys can see my screen. Somebody had sent me this, which shows the 4 waves, they were calling it, of the impact of COVID-19. And in this, they're saying, like, we're in this first wave, which is the immediate mortality and like the sort of the big pandemic type thing we're thinking about. But you got to think about, there's a bunch of other waves. You got the second wave of the post-impact, right? The restrictions that we're going to feel on an ongoing basis. Then the pressure on the medical system to deal with non-COVID conditions, all the stuff that was scheduled, right? Like all that non-essential surgery that's got to get rescheduled. The third wave of interrupted care, so people that might have been under long-term care, whether that's cancer treatments or like there's all that impact on people and their families and the medical system and that. Leading into the fourth wave, which is the long-term psychological trauma and mental illness and stuff that comes, and burnout from having dealt with this for so long. You might be getting back to your job, but you're still 3 months behind in your car payment, or you may not have a job to get back to, so now you're finding a new one, or there's all this stuff that we have to think about. The impact of this event is more than just the event. It's the subsequent waves of activity that come with it.
Well, this is what happens when there's kind of chronic trauma, is that the longer it goes on, the after effects and the collateral damage becomes more significant. Something like your illustration is that we're still in the midst of this. So the fourth wave will become more significant the longer the other 3 waves hold on. And we can't really measure that until we get to that period. But I agree with that. There's the kind of, the aftershocks, so to use the earthquake analogy, and those can be rather significant, especially if the earthquake itself, the overall, what we're experiencing now, is severe, which it already has been, and then also is prolonged.
Yeah, it's a good point, and it's a good analogy, right? The earthquake could damage a lot of things, but it could be the aftershocks that actually bring the buildings down because they were already weakened, so to speak, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah, and I think one thing that I know, being in the military, we address high stress situations, right? When you're doing something that's very stressful over and over and over again, we've adapted to have resources to help the service members out. And I think it's something that the medical facilities are going to have to look at for all these ER doctors and all of these people that healthcare workers that are dealing with this stress and seeing death day in and day out, because it can have a huge impact on your mental health.
Well, I can tell you, I was in New York working, both in performance, but also had a clinical practice and was in a major medical center in New York. And so I was in Manhattan the day of 9/11, and my practice was in Manhattan. And I could just tell you that, this is maybe the closest thing to 9/11. And in terms of the residual issues and stressors and the impact on people's lives post 9/11, was pretty significant. So that's the closest thing I can compare. And Peter, when you brought up like this fourth wave, I have a sense of what that was vis-a-vis the post 9/11 issues in dealing with individuals traumatized either just by the events or actually loss of life in family or loved ones or friends.
Yeah. Well, so we'll see, guys. But this is good stuff from a trading perspective. We should be very aware of that because we are entering, or maybe continuing, in a very stressful environment. And you're trying to trade and perfect a skill, which by all reports is a very difficult skill to master, right? Trading is not for the faint of heart. It is not easy. And we're all trying to master this. And some of us learn it. Well, I guess we're all still learning, but, in the midst of a lot of stress. So Mike, your question was really good about, how do you deal with these major events? Because let's face it, every single one of us is essentially dealing with a major life event. It might be impacting us in different ways, in different forms. But we shouldn't kid ourselves to think, I'm okay, this has no impact on me. It does. And the more we can just generally be aware of that, the more we can take, what can I say, like take allotments or something, like we can just be aware in our trading. Maybe we'll have a day where nothing seems to be working and we might overreact to that situation. Well, maybe that's just some of the stressors coming forth. Or you might have a really good
Peter,
day. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that in those kind of situations, this is where people kind of knowing your own personality, people who tend to be very perfectionistic and set a very, very high bar for themselves. People have to learn to be a little kind of kinder to themselves and not be such a high standard because of the stress level that you're living with. People who are a little kind of prone to anxiety when we're living in this kind of situation might get, their anxiety might get triggered with some poor trading days more quickly than under kind of more ideal conditions. So I think each person needs to know kind of how they're wired a little bit and to be aware that under these stressful world conditions that it could kind of shorten the fuse, so to speak, in terms of how these kinds of feelings kind of, rear their ugly heads during the course of the natural roller coaster ride that trading is.
All right. Yep. Well said.
Yeah.
It's
funny that you bring up.
So go ahead.
Funny you bring up a roller coaster ride, Dr. Katz, because that's one of the things that intrigued me the most about trading is that you do have those ups and downs in your emotions and your excitement level, and it just really resonates with me. I love roller coasters. I love the highs. I don't like the lows, but I like that struggle that you go through when you're at the low, because coming out on the other end, you're always better for it.
Yeah, I was just talking about this earlier on another webcast, but one of the things that's helped me is partly developing new routines around my physical health, and of course can't go to the gym, can't go to the yoga studio, can't play hockey anymore. So physical health is just as important as your mental health, and you just got to find ways to maintain your physical health, because that really does also affect your mental health as well. So it's just about adapting to the environment that you're in, and finding ways to do things differently.
And let me tag on with that. I think that's an excellent point. And when people can't continue in their routine or their structure in the way they've had it, they often lament that fact and focus on the disappointment. And this is where I think during these conditions, like you said, it has to be not about what I can't be doing, but how can I creatively, flexibly try to maybe start a new exercise, regimen that is different because my normal outlets may not be there. And I think people need to think again through that more positive, constructive lens of what they can do, as opposed to all the impediments of what they can't do. And then once you provide a structure and a discipline for yourself, then I think, that kind of becomes self-reinforcing.
Yeah, Dr. Katz, what are your thoughts on physical exercise helping out your mental health? Because I know I've always been taught that keep exercising, it will help reduce your anxiety and dealing with stressful situations.
It's interesting. I just got interviewed on a podcast, actually, that's geared towards professional tennis players, which I've done a lot of work with. And the interviewer from Sports Illustrated was asking me about my background, and I was telling him that actually, even though I got my PhD in clinical psychology, I wrote my dissertation in sports psychology. Well, this was back, I started writing it around 1980. And I wrote it on the impact of physical activity and exercise on psychological adjustment and mental health. It seems like such an elementary concept now, but back then it was a very alien concept in the psychology community, and it was kind of poo-pooed and not really valued. And I know in my work that had always been from ages ago. The physical activity and exercise as part of people's lives, I felt was a huge part of their mental health. I always felt there's so much of life that we don't have control over, that things like your physical activity and exercise level, your nutrition, your alcohol consumption, your sleep, these are the kinds of things that in a world that we often feel we have little control over, those are things that we can determine. And so I was always a big proponent of people trying to taking ownership and responsibility for the things that they can they have control over in their lives. And I found that to be just personally, but also in the people I've worked with, athletes and non-athletes and traders over the years, that kind of maintaining kind of a constant level of exercise and taking care of those other, quote, lifestyle variables has been essential in terms of high performance in the trading world.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, exercise, I found it very soothing when I'm stressed out. Running has always helped me deal with those high anxiety areas.
There are tons of studies now that say physical health and mental health are very connected.
Correlated. Yeah.
Guys, if I could just let me a couple minutes on the markets here. We're getting some big spikes, so just be careful if you're in a trade. I'm watching Microsoft. It's spiked up 3 times now, and quite significantly, like a full $1 1-minute spike on Microsoft. So I don't like the look of that whatsoever. I was looking short, and now look at it sort of running up. So just be careful. The markets are starting to act a little weird into the last 10 minutes here.
Yeah, it's getting really choppy. We've had a bunch of sell-off periods, and SPY's now coming back up to the VWAP. We're just looking like we may just close right around the VWAP at this point. We got 9 minutes left or a little less.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there.
Looking at SDC, maybe for a continuation move tomorrow.
So, with the little pause, just wanted to thank you, Dr. Katz, for joining us as we get ready to go into the close here. It was a pleasure having you on.
Okay, and I will be back with you guys next week. Okay.
Yeah,
Thanks. See you
Thanks,
Monday
Dr. Katz.
morning.
Okay, very good, guys. Take it easy.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Bye.
Should we be playing the Dr. Katz theme song before? Well,
I feel like we've got to have. You mean the old TV show theme song?
Yeah.
Is that, I'm not sure that he really wants the entry or exit to that.
No, I don't think he really wants the link. He had a funny story about how somebody sort of creeped on him for a while because they thought he was the real Dr. Katz. The guy would call him up and play the theme song over the phone to him. So yeah, probably.
Yeah, that would be.
Not good.
That would be.
It seems to be instrumental. There's no words to it.
Okay, okay, fellas, that brings me back. I see you're throwing shade on me. Get out of there. I want you to know that I'm listening to you 24/7. So I'm jotting these things down, and the karma train will come around.
We we just got such a kick out of the story you told about that when we
Yeah.
met you in New York.
Yeah,
That was pretty
yeah,
funny.
That was a good one. Yeah, well, maybe
Yeah,
we'll
it
have
was a good
time on
story.
another day to get back into that.
Yeah.
Okay, fellas, take it easy.
Thanks,
All right.
Jonathan. See, there you
Thanks,
go.
Dr. Katz.
See, Brian,
He's
he's always listening. He's out there.
yeah.
He's there. He's just like Andrew, lurking in the
That's
background.
right.
Yeah,
You got
yeah,
busted this time.
yeah. Really, yeah. We met him in New York in February when we were there. Had drinks and dinner with him. Really enjoyed meeting him, and glad he's still able to join us and help mentor us. Because as we know, trading is mostly a mental game, or a lot of it is. Ben does look
Yes, it
interesting.
is.
Somebody who mentioned that is looking kind of interesting into the close here. It's been trading above the VWAP for most of the afternoon. SPY's pushing higher. So I'm gonna take a little Ben Franklin home here with me.
Franklin Resources.
Yeah. Hopefully
Ben.
it'll hold up here.
Hopefully, it'll
A little
deliver some
Ben.
Benjamins to you then.
Take a little
Yes.
Ben home. Research. Okay. Yeah.
Amazon. Somebody's mentioning Amazon. What's it up to? Oh, it's just jumped up here.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, Amazon's surging into the close by the looks of it. As everybody knows, I do not personally trade stocks through earnings. I think it's a bit of a crapshoot. Apple is still staying strong into the close here. Facebook's been pretty steady all day. It really hasn't moved much by the looks of it.
No.
Last time I looked at it, it was 9 and something. Now it's 10 and something. So $1 on a $200 stock isn't really much of a move.
No, I had it on
It
my
has moved
primary
a-
list to keep an eye on here today, and it didn't make any great moves. At least nothing I liked.
Yeah, I like, speaking of gold, I'm kind of thinking I'm going to take a bit of a position, or I'm going to start building a position again here, maybe. Wow, Amazon's just really running into the close here.
Yeah, as Max says, all-time highs here for Amazon. So
Yeah. Man, I would not, I wouldn't want to be on either side of that trade. I guess you could be. You could you could buy a put and you could buy a call, and then one of them might pay off for you. Although I'm sure the put and call, the volatility on both those options right now are pretty high.
well, you might not mind being in Amazon if you got in at VWAP and you're holding.
Yeah. Oh, even then, I mean, it could drop $200 without a. I mean, $200 is less than 10% of the price.
Yeah, and we've
How do
seen
you
that.
manage risk on that?
Oh yeah.
We've
I mean,
seen it drop that much.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, I can. I mean, who knows, right? I mean, they've been the shipper of choice for many people that have been buying groceries and buying everything else online because you can't go to the mall. But a lot of the shipments have been delayed. I don't know about you. I haven't been able to get. I've had like a month delay on getting some stuff to my father, a radio. So I'd look at GDX. I also like to. I'm a Canadian, so I do play HGU as well. Horizon. Okay, so we're getting a bit of a pullback on the Benjamins.
On the Benjamins.
So we get 2 minutes left, and the SPY kind of came back a little bit off the low of the day. So we're really not down that much, eh? We're down less than 1% today on the SPY.
Yep.
Well, Roku's surging up into the close. Roku seems to be a bit of a opposite trade too. Market goes down, Netflix and Roku go up.
Well, Zoom's got to be going the other way then. It's our opposite play.
Yeah.
Yeah, Zoom. Well, Zoom actually is sold off today. Now, maybe that was because of the strong. I think that was because of the strong earnings on report on Microsoft. They had some pretty strong growth in their team sort of collaboration software.
Twitter did a strong pullback.
What did Twitter?
Twitter
Yeah.
hit the low, and it just trying to come all the way back up to the pre-market low.
Yeah, it's coming. It's storming back here. Must be some serious short covering.
Yeah, probably everybody in it short for much of the day.
Well, it was leaking quite a bit during the day here. So let's just take a look at the 15. Oh yeah, it. Actually, that was a nice rising devil trade. I don't know why I didn't notice that, but there's the bell.
There is the bell.
That was a nice rising devil trade. Did you get a? Because that would have been a great short. Yeah, go ahead.
I got short in it at 29.70. That's where I got short in it today.
Wow.
Okay.
I wrote it. And then I wrote it all the way down to the pre-market low. That's where I was looking out for a profit target.
Huh.
Oh.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. It actually wasn't much of a rising devil trade because usually in that first couple minutes at the open, you like to see it pop up to the VWAP, but it was literally so extended from the VWAP, from the selling in the pre-market, that it basically just kind of ground higher and kind of topped out around 10 o'clock. Usually with these rising devils, you just like to see a pop at the open and then immediately go short.
Well, I know you and Mike, you and Thor were sort of chatting about this offline, right? Because Thor did as usual. He took the long trade, managed to time the bottom there, and then you turned around and took the long short trade, right? So you each managed to make money off the opposite sides of the move. So that's good.
Yeah, I just saw it just rip at the open, and then I was just waiting for that moving average cross on the 9 as well as on the 2, and just kind of waited for it. And there was, I think yesterday's higher. There was a yesterday's higher, yesterday's low, some level right around there at. If I'm looking on here, let me put it on the candle. 1024.
Yeah, it was yesterday's high. Oh, I see. Oh, that was yesterday's low that it was coming through. Yes. Yeah. But even at the high point,
at the break of that.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, look at Amazon. Amazon just is just tanked.
Oh,
it's actually been going. It actually went red. It's gone red now.
Wow.
Yeah. No, now it's up $37. Like, it's just.
Well, so to your point, that's a $100 1 minute candle.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's just I mean, we'll see where it settles out. I mean, obviously, people are, trading around the results and what's being said. But it's just, I just don't understand how you can trade that. Apple's not really doing anything, but I guess have they come out with any numbers yet, Peter?
Not that I've seen. I just put on my my chart here the spread. Look at the spread. It's $15 to $25. That's the spread.
Yeah. So you take a
wow.
Yeah, you take just a market order. You're down $15.
Yeah, per
well,
share.
if you're only buying one share
per share.
Yeah. Only buy one chair.
So we've got a couple of earnings that are out. So Amazon did announce they missed. They beat on sales but missed on earnings quite significantly. Their earnings was their estimate was at $6.25. They only hit $5. So that's a pretty big miss.
Yeah, they probably had some pretty significant costs, I'm guessing.
I don't know. Yeah, it's anyway. So because I don't know. They must have. Gilead has announced Gild GILD. They have beat on top and bottom line. It looks like Western Digital.
Yeah, they're going.
Sorry, go ahead.
They're going strong into the aftermarket here. Gilead is at the day's high today, previous day high.
There you go.
And
Western
looks
Digital.
like it's going to.
Sorry, Brian. I thought you were done. I keep interrupting.
Go ahead.
Western Digital announced they basically met on revenue. I mean, they barely missed, but we're talking by $5 million on a $4 billion sales target. And but they missed on earnings as well. So slight miss top and bottom line for WDC. Interestingly, look at them. They spiked down and back up again. I don't know what that means, but Amgen is out. AMGN. Beat on sales, beat on earnings. So and they reaffirmed their sales guidance overall. So Amgen seems to be bullish. And let's say that's it. That's Visa. Although I've tried to trade Visa in the past, it has never treated me well. But Visa announced, if you're interested in giving it a shot, they beat on sales. I'm surprised, actually. They beat on sales and beat on earnings. So they beat their numbers on both sides.
So Amazon's selling off now here. It's down over $50. And think of all those people that were buying this into the close. Just obviously expecting. Yeah. Either they were, who knows what they were doing. I can't speculate.
So here's an interesting headline from Gild, GILD. They say, while the coronavirus did not impact first quarter results, it anticipates business in the short term will be impacted due to fewer patients accessing treatment for HIV and CHV treatments. So remember those 4 waves we were talking about? This is what's happening, right? That people that were expecting to get treatments for just the regular stuff, I'll say, not that cancer's regular, but or HIV regular, but the stuff that they had pre-existing conditions has all been pushed aside, and we're seeing companies say it's going to have an impact, but it's also going to have a medical services impact as well. So,
yeah, for sure. Interesting. All right. Well, hope everyone had a good day. We shall see everybody in the room tomorrow. I guess it's is it Friday tomorrow?
It is.
Yes, it is Friday.
That's pretty bad. I'm starting to lose track of what day it is. Where am I?
Keep track with what's on PV. That's how I remember.
Okay.
TV. It's all reruns. That's not going to help.
Yeah, I need to. Yeah, maybe I need to watch more TV. All right, guys. Well, hope everyone had a good day. Oh yeah, okay. Well, I'm not sure I think it's for members, but if it is open to the public, I'll share a link for sure on the podcast. Mike, Peter, enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you.
You too, Brian.
I see Amazon's gone green again. Wow. Look at this thing. Wow. All over the place, eh?
Yep.
Yeah. It's a heartburn for anybody who's holding the stock.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Brian.
Yeah, and again, thanks to Dr. Katz for coming on, joining us for a few minutes there, talking about some psychology. That's always good too. So
yeah. Always
cheers, everybody.
Take care, Brian.
Yep. All right. See you guys.
Just a reminder for tomorrow, guys. I will not be here. Mike here will be taking over the show, so Mike will be in charge.
Yep.
Treat him nicely.
Yes, please. It'll be my first day of
He will have all of the reins, all the controls, and all the pressure. So it's I know what it's like. I know when the first couple of days I did the show, it's hairy. And you get used to it, and then you know how it all works. But it's the sergeant major's running the battalion. There you go, Hilsey. Exactly. So
Yep. Look out. We're in trouble.
Look out. And he's in retirement mode, so keep in mind where his head's going to be at. So,
Yes. Which is something to say because I already, at the beginning of this week, I made the conscious effort that I was not going to trade on Friday, even before knowing that you weren't going to be here on Friday.
yeah.
So I'm just going to enjoy watching the markets and just have some fun.
There you go.
But
Well, good.
no trading,
Keep you in a good mood.
no adding
That'll be awesome.
added pressure to it. So
Right. Fantastic.
I got some other administrative stuff that I got to take care of tomorrow. So
Yeah. Oh, good. All right. Well, that's yes. My apologies that I can't be here tomorrow, but I'm going to do my best to remain socially isolated while I move my daughter at university. So I'm not sure how that's going to work, but we'll see how that goes.
yeah, I went through that. It's quite difficult up in a college environment.
It is. It is. It is. Thanks, Zen. I appreciate that. Guys, we're not going to stick around for the rest of the earnings. There's some good ones that are coming, but I think we'll have to sort of see what the results are. Of course, Apple, like we've mentioned, that we're eager to see the results of. I said little later on this evening, there is U.S. Steel X and then MGM Resorts, which has been moving the last couple of weeks. So I think those will be interesting, but they'll come out a little bit later. So with that, I appreciate it, everybody, and have a great night. We'll be signing off right here. We don't have any more live events other than the pre-market prep show that Carlos and Norm will be doing tomorrow morning, as always. And then, as we mentioned, the closed show that Mike will be leading tomorrow. But that's it for our scheduled events for this week. So, take care, and talk to everybody later.
Take care, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow.